Good afternoon to everybody on the Statue Relocation Committee and those who are following us on Facebook. This is our fifth meeting today, November 11th, 2020. I think the first thing we need to do is to, I'm assuming everybody's read them, approve the minutes from the last meeting. I'll need a motion to approve.
So moved.
So moved by Tim. I need a second.
Second.
Second by Wes. All those in favor of accepting the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that takes care of that. And I think there's Ann. She has made it. Good to see you, Ann. I know that people are getting impatient with us, so we're going to try to wrap up today. That will keep us in our approved timeline that we all voted for. There have only been about 6 additional comments come in, and most of those, I'm going to share a couple with you in a minute, were in accord with the others. The museums, Elmwood, several have said take the base either to Elmwood with the statue or take the base to Panther Creek. Now, on the last day, I received a copy of a letter which was sent to the judge, not to us. But it is from Karen Wallace, who is the Kentucky Division President of the United Daughters. And she simply says, it is addressed to me. It is my understanding that the Orangeburg Confederate monument that sits on the courthouse square is no longer welcomed at that site. This monument was erected with John C. Breckinridge Chapter 306, Daughters of the Confederacy, now known as United Daughters of the Confederacy, over 100 years ago to honor those men who did not return home from battle. Under the bylaws of the Kentucky Division of United Daughters of the Confederacy, if a chapter dissolves, any property owned by that chapter becomes the property of the Kentucky Division, meaning the monument in question is the property of the Kentucky Division, United Daughters of Confederacy. Therefore, the Kentucky Division will consider relocating our beautiful monument, honoring those soldiers to a suitable location, given a reasonable time frame in which to do so. Please keep me posted as to further details. Sincerely, Karen Wallace. That is the only official information that we have received. She still did not indicate where they would like it moved. So I think we consider that our official notification. However, I believe I did send you a copy of an email from Cindy Lewis, who lives in Lewisport, but she is the president of the Molly Moorhead chapter, which is in Calhoun. And she says, I have no objection to having a statue placed in the Orangeburg Museum of Science and History, as it can be a teaching tool. I wanted Elmwood, but Elmwood would not accept it, or the Orangeburg Art Museum. So since that is the local United Daughters, I think we have to give some weight to that. We have received several notifications of people asking that the base be taken out to the Panther Creek battlefield, but that the statue go either to either museum or to Elmwood. And there have been some very thoughtful comments that came in. Like I said, I think we had about 6 of a total. So now we've discussed this at length for 5 meetings. We're not going to get anything new. Everything has come in. We have heard from the community. We have heard as much as we're obviously going to hear from the United Daughters. So it's time for us to make a decision. I want each of you, and I will start with mine, give me your top 3 ideas, and then we will discuss and go from there. My top 3 ideas are the Orangeburg Museum of Science and History, Elmwood, or the Art Museum with the pedestal going to Panther Creek. There are many people who are concerned about the whole statue going to Panther Creek because of the fear of vandalism. And what several letters have said is we want it safe, we want it indoors. So those are my comments. Now, Wes, tell me what your 3 are.
Well, basically the same 3 that you mentioned, and then I would suggest the Museum of History and Science as
Mhm.
number 1,
Yes,
and Elmwood Cemetery as number 2. And
okay,
of course, the Art Museum, I talked to them and they were delighted that we even thought of it.
okay.
We just did
So,
not have the room.
so your three choices would be Orangeburg Museum of Science and History, Elmwood Cemetery, or the Art Museum. Those
Yeah.
are your three tops.
Okay.
Okay, Kenny? I can't hear, you're muted.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
I've been lagging real bad, so I didn't actually hear your
I'm sorry.
choices.
Okay, did you get Wes's choices?
I'm still lagging.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, my choices were Orangeburg Museum of Science and History, Elmwood Cemetery, and the last choice was the Art Museum, with the caveat that in either of those indoor places, the pedestal would be moved to the Panther Creek battlefield, where it could be honored and mark the spot where the only real battle in Davis County between regular troops took place. Wesley says the Orangeburg Museum of Science and History, Elmwood Cemetery, and the Art Museum. So what are your top
Can
three?
you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, my first choice would be the Panther Creek for the base, and then the statue being at the Owensboro Science and History. I think the second choice would be the same, except with the Art Museum
Okay.
as for the statue itself.
Okay. So your
And,
choice. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
And the third choice, I would leave blank. Them are my only two choices.
Okay, so the Orangeburg Museum of Science and History with the pedestal going to Panther Creek, or the Art Museum with the pedestal going to Panther Creek. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Tim?
I'd say I agree with Kenny. I mean, I spoke with that lady you told me to call at Elmwood. I can't remember her name right now, Augenstein. And she was very clear that they don't want it. So I would go with what Kenny said. And she's not local, so she may be less likely to be convinced. I think perhaps, with the right people talk to either of the museums, they may go for it. So what Kenny said.
Okay, so far I think we're all in agreement then, except that two of us had stuck in Elmwood, but we'll vote on that. Okay, Anne, what are your choices?
Well,
I know you don't want it moved, but it will be moved. So
I've heard that that's not even on the table. That's over and done with.
Yes,
I did what I was asked to do. I did it,
Yes,
and it's done.
And you did, and we appreciate it. That was a hard task, and I appreciate your doing it.
It certainly stirred up some fun, didn't it?
Well, I think we've all stirred up a little fun with this. So what would your choices be?
Okay, now I'm having a hard time with this for different reasons. My understanding, I mean, I can, like you said, recommend. I would be this Museum of Science and History, although I think the mayor's told them I can't go there. But anyway, whatever,
Yeah.
And if the Art Museum can take it, and then I don't have any other suggestions.
Okay. All right. Then what we need to do, and you all tell me what you think. When I talked to the judge last, he has asked us to give either 2 or 3 recommendations, sites that we think would be appropriate. And I'm reminding you again, and I think you all have all followed this, whether they said no to us or not is irrelevant, because the fiscal court has to do the communications, they have to do the exploration, the negotiation. They will make the final choice, but we are going to send them what we think is best. And what I'm hearing from everybody is Owensboro Museum of Science and History is the #1 choice. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I do. Well, when everybody else finishes, I have something I'd like to add.
Okay, and the second choice, now I'm looking, I guess there are 3 of you who have suggested the Art Museum as the second choice. they were kind of caught unawares. We had not talked to them until Wes talked to them. I'm trying to think where they would put it, but it would be an appropriate place. And so we can certainly make that recommendation. And I think what I heard from everybody was that the pedestal should go to Panther Creek, to the battlefield. Am I interpreting this correctly?
Yes.
Okay.
I'd like to see them stay
Okay.
together, but if it could.
Well, they can't at either museum. That's an impossibility. It's much too heavy. In fact, one of the letters that we got points that out, and we know that that's not possible. Personally, I really think having the base, the pedestal at the battlefield would be appropriate, and it would not invite vandalism the way the statue would have. But it was an important battle, and that would seem an appropriate place for the pedestal. But I want a consensus. I would like for us to be able to reach a consensus on the 3 that we are going to send in the order to the court. And then once we reach that decision, I propose, and I guess we'll need a motion for that, but that I will write up the recommendation, and then we will plan our meeting for next week, the 18th, which was the original scheduled time on the timeline for you all to approve the recommendation. I'm not going to send anything in until everybody has read it and edited and make sure that it is indeed what you want to say. Now, we will probably we will deliver it to the court at that point, and I'm sure we will be asked, either I as the chair or all of us, to be on a meeting with the fiscal court when it is actually presented in the court meeting. And I can't tell you right now because I don't know what that is. Okay, so let's make our decision. Number 1 choice is the Museum of History and Science. Science and History. I think it should be history and science and history. Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Number 2 is the Art Museum.
Just to add to that, with the base to 431.
Yes, I have.
Just
I
make
have
sure to
written
get the
that
whole,
down.
yeah. Okay.
Yes, that the base or the pedestal will go out on Highway 431 to the site of the battle. Okay, am I hearing anybody besides Wes and me think that we ought to try with Elmwood again? Because this is I want y'all's consensus.
No,
the Art Museum.
In addition to what I mentioned earlier, the other concern I have with Elmwood is I do think it would be at some risk there because it's not indoors. So that's the other concern I have about Elmwood.
We have had a number of people make that. The good thing about being at Elmwood is that it could be included on the the programs that the museum does out there. But I'm seeing a majority are saying the Art Museum. So Wes, are you and I willing to do that?
I am, yes.
Okay. All right. Then I think we don't need to vote. I think we have a consensus. Let me read it off. Owensboro Museum of Science and History with the pedestal going to 431. Art Museum with the pedestal going to 431. And what was our 3rd choice? We didn't have a 3rd choice. Okay, well, we'll send those 2. If that is what you all want. This has been a long, emotional, hard fight. And I know, Anne, that it's been hard on you.
No. I thank you, but no.
Well, it's, change is always hard, and we're never all going to agree on everything. But our job was to come up with the places that we thought it should come. And frankly, I think we've spent enough time. I think we have looked at all the information. So do I have a consensus that this is what we're sending to the court?
Yes, but I would like something I didn't think of earlier.
Okay.
And something I had never even thought was in consideration was putting it in storage. Is that an option?
Well, I mentioned that at the last meeting, that if we did not come up with a place, that is exactly what would happen. But let's be optimistic and think that one of the places will be able to take it. But
well,
now,
given the threat of a lawsuit, it's maybe not a bad to make that number 3 on the list. I mean, if if there's going to be a lawsuit at some point, and I guess we'll see, what that remains to be seen.
It was
then
not
it makes sense
mentioned.
maybe to just move it.
It was not
You know,
mentioned in the letter from the president, okay? I think that has, if it happens, it happens, but that is not one of our sites. I think we need to give them 3 sites, and the lawsuit will be taken care, if it comes, that will be up to the county, and thank God, none of us.
But you mentioned storage, I think that was your idea.
I mentioned storage if we did not come up with a place. Yes, indeed, I did.
Ah, okay, gotcha.
Because it will come down. That was what I
I
meant.
see. Okay, gotcha.
Okay, so we have a consensus. We have made a decision. Then I think that I propose that we meet next Wednesday, which is a week earlier than we would normally meet, but the next week is Thanksgiving, that we meet at 4:30 on the 18th. I will have sent out to you a copy of the recommendation so you can read it, edit it, see if everything is okay. Do I either have consensus or a motion on that? There are only 5 of us, we can do consensus, but I just need to hear from you. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes from Kenny?
Yeah.
Yes? Yes, Wes?
Yeah.
Yes, I said yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Frankly, that's all we had to do today, folks. I think that you all have all worked really hard. Your county is proud of you. You are good citizens to be willing to take the time and the effort to do this. I'm very proud of all of you because I think that we've been able to talk about these things in a civil manner. And the decision now lies with the fiscal court. Does anybody have anything else that needs to be discussed or you want to bring up or comment on?
No.
I'm sorry we can't all get together for a cup of coffee. One of these days, maybe. But I will talk with the county judge to see how they, as far as presenting it to the court. But we will next week take the vote on the recommendation, and I will then send it immediately to the county court. Okay, anything else? It's probably the shortest meeting in all history. Thank you all so much. It's been a pleasure working with you, and I'll see you next Wednesday, the 18th at 4:30. And those of you who are listening in, notice the change on meeting date. Next Wednesday, the 18th at 4:30. I need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
All right, there's a motion. Did somebody second it?
Second.
Second, okay. See y'all later. Bye-bye.